Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast. Today, I'm joined by Lara Enriquez and Gabriela Dominguez. And hi, everyone. Hello. And today, we'll be talking about how social media has changed the way we communicate with our peers. So to start, I guess, I'm just going to ask you guys, what are the two social medias that you guys use most often?
Instagram and TikTok.
Instagram and TikTok. What about you?
Snapchat and TikTok.
Snapchat and TikTok. Okay. So on these, do you like talk with anyone on the apps that you use the most? We'll start with you.
Do I talk with anyone?
You use the chat functions of those social media?
Yes, all the time. On TikTok, I send videos to all my friends. We text each other like, look at this.
Mm-hmm.
On Instagram, I also send reels. Mainly Snapchat though. Snapchat is my main use of communication. That's how I text people, send them videos, everything.
Mm-hmm. And Lara?
Yeah, same for me. I use Snapchat the most because I'll text people or you can even call them and it's a great way, especially as a college student, because I mean nowadays people don't ask you for your number, they'll ask you for your Snapchat. So it's people that I have in class, I'll be hey, what's your Snapchat, and then we'll text there, we'll talk about class, or we'll be oh, what are you doing right now? Instagram, I'll use that just to catch up with people, see their pictures, they'll see my pictures. TikTok, it's the exact same thing as she said.
Yeah. Find that you talk with people more on social media than you do in person and over text and even phone calls?
Oh yeah, I mean there's some people that I don't even know and I've never met them in person, but I'll Snapchat them and I'll text them and snap back with them, but I've never met them in person. I don't know what they actually look like. I'll just see half of their face or sometimes just the ceiling, but we'll have a conversation, but I don't know who they are. Yeah,
That's a little worrying.
it is. Yeah.
I feel the exact same way. I feel it's way easier to communicate via social media other than in person. You can say a lot more things. People don't really know what you're saying. It's just easier. So yeah, I definitely do use Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat to communicate more because it's just easier.
Mm-hmm.
And because like she said, there's people I'm talking to that I have no idea who they are, but it's just fun.
Yeah. Say social media didn't exist anymore. Do you think how you would communicate with your friends and the people around you, do you think that would change greatly, or?
Oh, absolutely. I feel genuinely we would be so much happier, and relationships and connections would be so much more serious and meaningful, because nowadays I feel you can literally say I love you.
She said, do you love me? I tell her.
Over text, it doesn't mean anything. That's an example. I feel connections and relationships would just actually mean something now, and you would actually talk to person via face to face.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I feel everyone would be so much happier and things would actually go back to the way they were supposed to be.
Can you elaborate on that? What do you mean, the way things were supposed to be?
But humans are social creatures. We're supposed to talk to each other, and people just do it through their phone now, and it doesn't really mean anything. People now can hide under a screen all day, and they're not there. It can affect themselves because they're not really seeing people anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What I refer to as how things were supposed to be is, people actually talked to each other, and you would get social cues and stuff like that.
Say also that emojis act as sort of a replacement for body language over social media and over text.
Oh, absolutely, Cameron.
Yes, Lara. I know you had something to say.
Yes, thank you, Cameron. I just wanted to say, when texting, you get a surge of confidence because you're hiding behind a screen.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, at least I know for myself, I get more confident when texting people. I'll say a lot of things, but when it comes to when I'm in person with that person, I would never say that to their face. And emojis, I can end a conversation easily like that, and you can't do that.
Yeah,
in
you
person.
You cannot do that in real life.
No.
I know if I
Stick out your
basically
little tongue,
yeah, if I sent my basic emoji that I respond to most texts with in person, I think people would probably look at me a little bit weird, and
for sure.
what is, because that's not an appropriate response if you're face to face with someone.
Yeah, they'll think you're weird.
And I know in our personal experiences, you and I, we kind of egg each other on over text.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to, oh, should I send this? Would it be funny if I sent that?
But because we're hiding behind a screen.
Exactly. It makes it a lot easier for us to say a lot more.
Yeah.
experimental or crazier things. That too.
Yes, communication through pictures is definitely something huge amongst our generation nowadays.
Yeah, especially with, Snapchat and how it's rise to such popularity. If you don't know, Snapchat is a social media where you can basically communicate through pictures and selfies, which is what we normally do. Yes. Scope of how social media has changed the way we communicate with others, I also wanted to interview someone I know exclusively through social media, as in I have not had any face-to-face contact with this person. So I interviewed Tyler from Mississippi State. I asked him, of course, what social medias do you use most often? To which he replied that he uses Instagram and Snapchat most often. I then asked him if he used the chat function on these social media applications. He replied, I use the chat function for Snapchat a lot because that is the main premise behind the platform, which is true, but I also find that most people prefer to use the snap function or the picture function of Snapchat more than the chat function. When he uses Instagram, he mainly uses it to keep up with friends. So things like looking at their pictures and I'm going to assume also commenting on them. The third question I asked him was, would he still have the same level of contact with his peers if social media did not exist? To which he replied, I feel that social media has given people more info on their peers than ever before. I feel like social media can be a sensory overload at times. What I asked him was, does he talk to people he doesn't know through social media? To which he replied, verbatim, yes, there's this one person I communicate with that I don't know. She's from podcast project. I wonder who he could be talking about. So, to further the conversation, I then asked him if he uses anything besides social media to communicate with his peers, friends, or family. To which he replied, I use iMessage for more formal communication. This includes keeping up with family, clubs, and organizations, and any jobs I may have going on. And lastly, I asked him how he thinks social media has impacted the way we talk to others. To which he replied, social media has definitely impacted the way that we communicate with each other. We can keep up with people's lives better and communicate more than ever before. But I feel sometimes it can be too much information and lead to a lot of issues as well, which I agree with. This brings me to my conclusion that there are advantages and disadvantages to social media as a form of communication, and the way that it has changed the way we communicate with others. It has turned our style of communication from letters and phone calls to snaps and selfies. It is rare to find someone from a younger generation that doesn't have a form of social media downloaded on their phone, whether it be Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, or Instagram. While these are few social medias, I find that these are the ones most popular in today's generation, or at least in my generation. Even those who I find don't use social media that often still have a form of social media downloaded. I feel social media has also changed the way we interact with people, as according to uopeople.edu, it has led to more unfiltered interactions. As referenced in my interview with Lara and Gabby, they feel they can send anything without any repercussions because they are hiding behind a screen. It is also harder to read face-to-face interactions and body language, which can lead to us saying more harmful things because our tone is not easily expressed. This constant communication has also led to a breakdown in communication, with it being easier to ignore people for longer periods of time, when before social media existed, it would be very hard to ignore someone right in front of you. While a text message is really easy to not see, social media has changed how we interact in person as well, with it being an easy escape in the middle of a conversation to just pull out your phone and go on Instagram or Snapchat instead. It's easy to dual wield a conversation if you're having one in person and one online. According to Discover magazine, social media has affected the landscape of social interactions in many different ways that are hard to define. Well, I think it's easy to define. Social media has changed the way we interact with people, not only in person, but online as well. We now have constant access to talk to our peers. And although they may not respond all the time, we still have that easy bridge of communication. According to Discover magazine, face-to-face interactions are important. And with the new rise of social media and how we communicate with our peers, it may seem that we're missing out on those integral face-to-face interactions every single day. In a study published in 2014, they found evidence that a group of 6th graders spent just a few days away from screen media or social media. They found that they socialized more and could understand human emotion and recognized nonverbal emotion cues better, which means social media may be affecting how we read body language and how we read communication overall. So while researching and investigating this topic, I found that maybe communicating almost exclusively through social media isn't the best way to do things. We need face-to-face interactions and we need to socialize with people like we did back then, before Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. Thank you for watching my podcast. My name is Cameron Nichols, and here's the bloopers reel. Hello? My voice recording stopped. Kathy. Can you respect my podcast?
You know what? We're gonna get your podcast and we're gonna start talking. I think because you said that you're.
Take this seriously.
I can't. It's because this is a video.
Hi. Okay.
Very valid points, Cameron Nichols.
Thank you so much, Lara Lucas. Well, can you not hit my computer? We are recording audio on this. Thank you so much, my English 1301 class.
You're so